let me go.
What is up, you guys? So today is going to be a tutorial showing you guys how to do the Spider-Man web transition effect that Andreas Hem uses in his vlogs. So let's get started in After Effects. Okay, so I think I'm going to try to put a link to this project file where you can easily just add the transition effect onto your video, but I'm just going to show you guys how I did it. Okay, so basically I recorded some clips with me doing the same exact motion as Andreas Hem does when he does this effect. So I did like a gun effect towards the camera and then pulled it towards me, and then I have me closer to the camera where I'm holding it, and it's like I'm vlogging-ish. Okay, so basically the first thing we're going to do is create that web effect as it's spraying. We're just going to turn the eye off for both of the two clips so that we can just work with our spider web. So let's go to the pen tool, and we're going to make sure the fill is on none, and then we're going to go to the stroke and make sure that's on white. So then we can just make a white line. And then let's just go to layer and new camera, and then we're going to press the 3D cube button on the shape layer so that we can kind of rotate this. So let's go to that rotating tool at the top, and then we can kind of rotate this in like directions so that it kind of looks 3D towards the camera. Okay, but first let us right click on the shape layer and then go all the way down to pre-compose. And then we'll just press OK to open in a new composition. And now basically we can add a bunch of things in this composition, and then it will copy over to this other composition. So it'll be more organized. So let's just create a bunch of different shape layers and use a pen tool to create many different lines so that it has like the beginning of the spraying part of the web. So basically I'm going to do this very quickly, but I'm kind of just making like different lines, kind of what a web would look like, but for just like the spraying part. And remember, I'll have a project file where you can just literally copy and paste like all of this stuff, so you don't have to create all of this on your own. I just wanted to show you guys. The lines at the sort of end want to be a little bit lighter than the ones closer to the beginning of the web, so I'm going to go to the lines we made towards the end and press T on the shape layer, and then we're going to bring that opacity lower so it kind of blends out, I guess. So for the last two lines, I'm just going to make the opacity to like 76 and 84-ish, around that area, so that it's lighter at the edges. If we go back to our composition, we can see that we see the exact same effect coming from our other composition. Okay, now let's create a new adjustment layer by going to Layer and New Adjustment Layer. And now let's go to Effects and Presets and search up Roughen Edges. And then we can start to see that this is kind of going to loosen up the strokes that we made. So if we go to the border and we bring this up, it'll kind of make it look more realistic and just roughen the edges basically. And we can also bring the edge sharpness down a bit so that it kind of blurs the outlines. Okay, now the next thing we want to add is fast blur. So this is going to blur the spider web because we don't want it to be totally in focus. So let's just bring the blurriness to like 4. So you can just play around with the roughen edges. And the next thing I'm going to add is turbulent displacement. So let's search that up in Effects and Presets and add that to our adjustment layer again. And you can see that it kind of twirls this spider web around so it's not so straight and it looks more realistic. And you can adjust the settings, but I think it looks pretty fine. So if we go back to our composition, you can see that those exact changes have been made to our clip. And now we actually have to press that cube button again for the shape layer so we can still rotate it. If we just rotate this around, we can make it look like it's going towards the camera better. Now let's turn the eye back on our bottom two clips, and you can see that it's working pretty well, but maybe we should bring the opacity down. So let's go to our shape layer and press T and just bring the opacity down to 71 so that it is a lot more faded. Now I got the spiderweb picture from the internet, and I'll try to link the link in the description. I got it from Google, and so it's basically a spiderweb, but we need to key out the black. So let's go to Effects and search up Extract, and we're going to put that on our clip, and then we're going to go to the black point, and we'll just bring out all the blacks, and you can't really tell because the composition setting background is on black, but basically we're keying out a lot of the black parts. So I'm just going to go to about 186. Okay, now we can go to opacity for that picture and we can bring that down so that it's not so harsh. So I'm going to go down to like 55, and then we're going to go to effects and presets, and let's search up fast blur so that we can blur the picture a bit. So I'm going to just change the blurriness to 4. And this is because in Andreas Hem's video, the spiderweb is blurry because we're still seeing that his face is in focus, and there was a spider web on the camera and his face is in focus, then the spiderweb would be out of focus. We can also just go to our shape layer composition with our beginning spider web, and we can bring that opacity a little bit lower. And then you can also just scale that up a bit and use the rotating tool so that you can kind of rotate it so it goes towards the camera. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the pen tool so that we can make it sort of appear. So I'm going to go to the pen tool and create a little circle for the beginning part, and then I'm going to go to the mask expansion and bring that all the way down so you no longer see it. Press the keyframe button and then go like 4 frames forward and then bring it all out so that we can see all of the effect. So now if we watch it back, it sort of appears very quickly. And I'm just going to turn the eye off for our spiderweb picture so we can see our beginning spiderweb better. And then you can drag it further back towards where the effect is going to happen so you can kind of see what it will look like. And you can always just play around with the rotation and scale. Okay, now what you can do is you can duplicate our shape layer by pressing Command D, and then it'll make another copy, and we can just offset this so we can scale it up a little bit more, and it'll just make the effect look cooler because like spiderwebs have a lot of different layers on it, I feel like. And you can also press T for opacity and bring that down to 25%. Okay, now let's bring that spiderweb layer and turn the eye back on and just drag it towards where the effect is going to happen. So it sort of appears, and then our spiderweb happens a little bit after the mask starts to expand. Okay, now for the actual transition part. Let's go to our actual video clips and our first video clip, and we'll press S for scale, and then a little bit after we start to point at the camera and pull, we're going to press the keyframe button and then go to the very end of the clip and just scale that all the way in. So I'm going to about 252, so it'll scale in a lot. And then I accidentally actually already have the motion tile effect, but I'll show you guys how to do it again. So you're going to go to effects and presets and search up motion tile. You want to put the output width and output height to 300, and then you want to press the mirror edges and check that box out. So if we scale it out a bit, you can see that the effect sort of mirrors on all around the clip. So what we want to do is we're going to keep the scale at 75% at the beginning of the clip, and then press the keyframe button, and then go like 3 frames forward and then change the scale to 100. So now it's basically the basic zoom transition. And then we are going to go to motion blur at the top and press that like circular shapes and make sure that's blue, and then we're going to press the circular buttons column for both of the 2 clips, and this is going to enable motion blur. So now it'll have motion blur on the clip, so it'll blur and it'll look a lot more better. Now, because the spider web is going on for too long, we're going to just cut it off right where the motion blur starts to occur. So I'm just going to select all the 3 spider webs and press Command Shift D for where the zoom starts to happen, and then it'll split the 3 clips, and then I'm just going to delete the excess clips. Okay, so basically that's the whole effect. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.